All right, and welcome back to the Prometheus Afterthoughts podcast, a CNC podcast. Today, my guest is Joe, our most recent boot. Joe, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk about the game and just really share what I felt happened and why I went and how I could have not went. Yeah, I'm excited to do it.
I'll actually just straight out let you talk about whatever you want. You can start about your experience or whatever. I might have some questions towards the end for you, but yeah, talk about your experiences in the game, your edit, the podcast where we might have talked about you. So you're free to go.
So, first of all, I just want to say I had so much fun playing. It's the first game I've done like this. I usually just play over on Discord where this is completely different type of game is played. Very, it's mainly just over messages and DMs, the occasional call or FaceTime. So this was a fun new medium for me to exercise my skills as a player. And I'm really pleased with how it went overall. Like, yeah, I got to jury, which was my main goal. Well, my main goal was to win, of course, but I got to jury, which was great. So I'll start at the beginning. The dawning, it was so weird meeting everyone and realizing I was the only non-American on the cast because I was just there like, oh, I stick out immediately. I was the one person who was immediately an outlier. They could be like, oh, he's very easily identifiable as the outcast. And that made me nervous. So I felt from the start I had to social game, even if it wasn't just too intense. I just, I was sociable. I tried to make myself just be personable and likable. And I don't know how that worked because I was like one of the last picks in the tribe draft, but it wasn't a captain's picked all. So it wasn't like one person was like, not him. It was just, I could have been, I doubt this is the case, but I could have been everyone's number two choice. And they just let everyone else pick someone else first. So yeah, that was fun. But then we got into it and we got into the challenges, which I really liked. I said coming into the season, I was going to be a challenge beast and I fulfilled that. I think I worked it out and I won like 70% of the challenges I participated in, which I think it's a good stat. I don't think
Yeah.
anyone has me beat there. Um, well, I won't say who because that might give spoilers as to who got to certain places in the game. But yeah, I feel I came in and I did what I wanted to do, which was make jury. I was sociable and I was a physical threat as well.
Yeah. I was very surprised when I watched your intro video. Now, for those who don't know, not that I think I ever publicly said it before, but everyone had to submit an intro video before roughly about 24 hours before the game started. And you did say that your strength was going to be competitions. And, we always ask people, if they're a social strategic competition threat, and like no one ever says competition. So I was very surprised to hear you say that. And then to actually see you play and pretty much be a competition threat was a shock. And that was kind of really cool to see that. But obviously, in my opinion, that is part of a good part of the
A
reason
very
why
good.
you got out of the game.
Yeah. I think my main demise not wasn't necessarily winning the merge challenge because I did want that immunity because I have a very bad history of Final Nine. It never goes well. So to be safe, even though Final Nine immunity is inevitably what led to my demise, I think the true nail in the coffin happened earlier with the individual immunity on the two tribes because I didn't need that. I was I was very comfortably positioned in the tribe. I felt safe with Colin and Anna and Kyle. And I don't feel Andrew or Mara would have come for me at that point. So I think that was an unnecessary win for me. But I'm too competitive to throw anything, and that kind of led to the issue.
Yeah, I hear that. I'm pretty much the same way. I don't excel in competitions like you do, but I'm not really one to throw competitions either. And I think you did say a couple times, that you weren't looking to win them and you weren't expecting to do as well as you did, but lo and behold, you still did end up winning in the end. But yeah, so one thing with the competitions. So I kind of want to go back to the Final Nine curse or whatever you want to call it, because it
Yeah.
didn't quite make, the edit. Might have made one of whether it was on the cutting floor or that. So do you think that's still part of your Final Nine curse? You won the immunity at the Final Nine only for it to maybe help put that nail in the coffin.
I, the short-term Final Nine curse is gone. I guess I no longer have the thing of getting to Final Nine as a death sentence, but I now get to Final Nine and have something happen because of what happens in that round to then send me home later, and I can credit it to that exact round. So it still exists, not in the exact same form, but yeah, it's not fully left me, which isn't great.
So another thing too that I was very curious about, one of the things that I think potentially played a part in you going was that you got branded the shit stirrer. Now, full disclosure, something happened with some of our footage for that round, so we lost probably about 10 minutes of a couple hours worth of footage for that episode. So the big reason you got branded the shit stirrer is because of the whole Lauren said that Caitlin
Yeah.
probably voted Caro. Now, I'm trying to remember everything, and I was trying to remember everything as I was putting the final touches on the episode last week, and even after I watched the full episode, once I uploaded it again, or watched it again after I uploaded it. So I don't believe you were lying, correct? And you do say multiple times, even in your exit, that you weren't lying, you were telling the truth. So could you shed some light on that situation?
So what I can remember of that conversation is it was immediately after the tribal. So everyone was just sort of discussing it and being like, who voted for who? And I think I was in a room with Lauren, maybe, and I think Kyle could have been there. It was another one of the primordials. And we were just talking about who voted for Caro, because none of us assumed it was David, or at least to my knowledge, because we all thought he was the Andrew vote. So we were just discussing, and she didn't deny vote that. How should I articulate this? I brought up, oh, could it have been one of the Titans who voted for Carolina? And I named Caitlin, and Lauren never went, no, she would never do that. So I think I kind of embellished the truth, which I don't think it's completely shit stirring. It was just, no, it was shit stirring. Yeah, and I watched the episode, and as soon as I said that to Caitlin, I was like, oh, that's where you went wrong. And I know why I said it to her, because my plan was at final 7, assuming I could get Lauren out, was to flip with Kyle to Caitlin and Carolina. So I wanted them to both feel as if I had provided them something to be able to, for them to be able to trust me at Final 7. And I was using the thing with what Lauren had said as the tool to get trust from them. And I think had they believed me and had I got to Final 7 how I wanted, I could have pulled it off maybe. I didn't, but had that gone the way I would, I think it would have been a very different game and I would have very safely flipped, but I couldn't flip until I felt ready. And that was just me trying to build a foundation for my flip. Because I also don't like to flip just for the sake of it. If I got to the Ascension, I wanted to be able to articulate my reasoning. And if I couldn't, why do it?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's stupid just to flip. I mean, there's got to be a reason. It's got to be strategic. So I agree with you in that regard. Now, when I was editing the episode, and even like I said, when I watched it back, I was definitely under the assumption that it had, because of the way Lauren had phrased things, you were under the assumption that she was implying it was Caitlin. So I was definitely like on your side. Now there's more content that didn't make either of it. And especially there's a confessional that Lauren gives in which Lauren says like I believe her words are, she's disgusted at what you had said. That you like were calling her like that she threw her own people under the bus. So I mean, I think that's the thing, like her tribe mates also like saw that, and you know, they were super tight at the time. So they were just like, there's no way that would have happened. But I get where you were coming from. But so another thing that I had a question about was, we see at the very end of the episode during your exit confessional, um, you say that you want to see Kyle win and you trust him, and then he voted for you. And then we see that you thought Colin was putting on this show, which, if that was the case, he put on a long show because he was quite confused and pissed off the whole time, but he actually voted with you. So I'm kind of curious. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on you reading that wrong between Kyle and Colin.
I think it originated from day one. I felt me and Kyle sort of just had each other's backs. I was very clearly wrong, but I just was under the impression that he wouldn't flip on me, especially as he knew I was willing to flip with him later on. And I hadn't really discussed Endgame or anything beyond Final 7, maybe, with Colin. So I was like, it would make sense for him to flip on me. And I also thought he was doing a very Sarah Lucina thing in Game Changers, where she voted out Sierra, of just being really shocked. And I thought he was just doing a bad job of acting. And that was his genuine reaction. But he was there like, oh, these votes coming in for me. And I was like, it was, because as you said, I think you said this in the podcast with Matt, when the pre-vote reading discussion was happening, and Lauren basically spelt it out to everyone that it was either her or me. So when he was shocked I was getting votes, I was like, come on, you knew I was getting votes and you were one of the people who voted me. So I just completely thought he'd flipped on me. And then to learn that it was Kyle, someone who I would have maybe considered my number one, had done it. When I was in jury and the next juror arrived, I won't say any more than that, but they detail what had happened. I was still shocked. So yeah, I don't, in watching the episodes, I'm like, of course it was Kyle. Like, even leading up to it, I was like, of course Kyle wouldn't want to stick with me. Of course he would flip on me. But in the moment, I was blinded.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's more or less all the questions and the content that I had I wanted to ask you. So do you have any final thoughts on game podcasts, your experience, just anything in general.
I just want to say again, I had so much fun playing. It was, despite there being $250 at stake, the game did feel kind of low stake and it was just fun. It was so fun, and I felt everyone was just there to have a good time playing. And of course, the money would have been nice, but it didn't feel like anyone was there for that. And I really enjoyed the atmosphere of the game. It was good. It was so good. And I would, if season 2 applications come out soon, I would recommend everyone fill out one of these applications and come play. You will not be disappointed. So
All right. Well, thank you so much for that, Joe. And thank you for coming on. And thank you for everyone that has tuned in and watched. If you can like, comment, and subscribe, that'd be greatly appreciated. And on that note, everyone have a good night.